We are live. Hello there, out there in our virtual audience, and hello here, all those who are physically present. And I am looking for someone out there in the virtual world to let me know that you can see and hear me. And okay, there I am. And for those of you out there virtually, you might notice the benefit of what is behind me. Okay, these four things. At our last gathering, the people who were present painted these beautiful pictures of various different qualities of God. And they did that in order to create this expression, this beauty behind us, instead of the deer antlers and other various assorted things that had been there. So you may enjoy them. I know you can't really see in detail, but they really are beautiful. And for those of you who are here, after we're done, you can go up and take a look at what was done. And there we go. So good morning, Debbie. You have won the award of a special spiritual prayer, so let me know for what you would like me to do that work, and I will do it for you. So we are ready to go, right? Right. So right. Okay. This word is being spoken for each one. And if there is anyone that you would like to have included, you can think of their name now, or if there is any place or situation in the world that you would like included, just name that place, that situation, it's included. Because I recognize that there is only one mind, a mind that is everywhere present, a mind that, call it God, call it divine creator, it is intelligent and it knows itself. And because it is infinite, what it knows is creating this entire universe and everything in it. So this divine mind is right now thinking of itself. And right now it is thinking of everything that is created. And so right now, this infinite mind is thinking of each one. Specifically, any belief that one is not that important or insignificant, or that, oh no, God or the thinker is somehow limited and couldn't possibly be thinking about myself or all the little details of my world, all of those beliefs in limitation, putting it onto God, is all by this word erased, evaporated, and vanished, as each one is opening up and becoming more aware of that something which is infinite and which is everywhere present and is fully aware of everything. This infinite mind even knows where every single electron is. And so this infinite something definitely is creating each one in specific detail, and it knows everything about each one. It knows each one's consciousness, the situation around each one. It knows every single little spot. It knows the location and the form of every single freckle. It knows all. Nothing excluded, nothing is outside of it. And so this infinite mind, in knowing each one, is also knowing the freest, the most harmonious, the happiest, healthiest expression which could be possibly expressed in, through, as, and all around each one. This infinite mind knows right where each one is, and it is knowing a way for each one to move from wherever he or she is to a greater experience of goodness on every form, every plane of action. Because that omnipresence of this infinite mind, the omnipresence of the all good, is also the omnipresence of love, of truth, the omnipresence of peace and harmony, of joy, of order. And because the omnipresence of harmony and peace, order and joy and beauty is present, it lovingly expresses in harmony, in ways and means of perfect right order, divine right action. In other words, it is guiding each one into moving forward in life from wherever he or she is to a greater experience of life. So each one is open and receptive to that divine guidance, that divine thinker that knows the way, the answer, the solution, the way out, the path forward. It not only knows this way, but it is creating this path for each one to follow with the signs and signals along the way, as well as clearing that path so that it is easy for each one to move forward. The path is easy. It is prepared. And so each one is seeing that path of movement in thought as well as in form, of moving from wherever he or she is, which is good, to the greater good, to a greater experience of health and vitality, to a greater experience of freedom and balance, of peace and serenity, to a greater experience of love, beauty, and joy, to a greater experience in harmony in every single relationship, to new opportunities being brought to each one, for each one to express more of the highest talents and abilities that each one is, as well as the interest and the fascination that is present within each one to express these talents. So new opportunities are provided on this easy path forward. The right people at the right place, the right relationships, the right time, the right event, the right experience, all of it is part of this unfolding good present within each one, as well as of all the support that goes with it. Each one being given a body that is able to express all the love that is within the heart. A body that is able to live and move and breathe and laugh and love joyfully in expressing that uniqueness that each one is. And this divine support comes in all ways, financially, energetically, even environmentally, so that everything is being rearranged to provide for that easy path forward, and each one confidently, steadfastly taking each step forward in thought, moving, as well as fact, as well as step, taking that action, moving forward from good to greater good. And so as a result, each one is experiencing the fulfillment of the heart's desire, as well as greater health, greater wealth, greater joy, more harmonious relationships, crystal clarity, goodness everywhere he or she looks, as well as that divine way of operating, spirit knowing itself, manifesting as everything working harmoniously, easily, successfully. Perfect right order, divine right action. Each one is in alignment with it, is moving with it, is in the flow of it, and is experiencing that perfect right order and divine right action everywhere. I am grateful that this is the truth. I release this word to the law. Grateful it is done, and so it is. Okay, that's the way it is. So, hola, Debbie, Joy, Mary, hello, and Kathy, good morning, Margit, Clee, and Angela. All right, so we've got quite a crowd out there, and welcome to the other people who've come in since I began treating, and it's time for Reverend Rich to sing and welcome us.
home. On my birthday home. On my birthday home. On my birthday home. Home. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
And so we take this moment to consciously be aware of opening our heart to receive our good. We don't quit on ourselves. We don't give up on ourselves. We always consciously continue to choose to receive our good. And so we're here now. There's tremendous potential for good to move through us and for us to experience it. There is every God-given reason for us to receive the answer, the guidance, the solution, the healing, the resolution, whatever it is. That infinite mind knows how to do it, and it's pleasure to do it for us. So we just open our hearts to receive all the good that is here for us. And we know it's the truth. We now let it go to the law. It is done. We can relax, just receive it, and so it is.
I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. I am opening. I am opening. My heart is ready to receive. So, I say, welcome.
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 Thank you.
My name is Rich Volk. I am the music minister here. And we are a welcoming, inclusive community. And we believe that our teaching offers us tools to make the best of our lives and to experience a heaven on earth, knowing that it is a state of consciousness. And Reverend Karen and our teaching help us to achieve that consciousness. So I don't have much to say today. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Everybody's remarking on the sun on the water. Spring is here. We got through April Fool's Day without any tornadoes. Right? Sorry. I hope for everybody that we didn't have any tornadoes anyway. And that's about it. What we have going on is Susan, our practitioner, Susan Neat, is going to give an evening meditation on the second and the fourth Tuesdays of each month. The meditation begins at 7 o'clock and lasts around 15 minutes. Please come into the Zoom meeting a few minutes early. Once you register, you will use the same link for every session. You can drop in as guided, more info on the registration forms, and the link is on our Facebook page, CSL Princeton. All right?
All right.
And that's it. That's our announcements for today. It's funny about this day. I was walking the dog this morning, and it's really windy, and it was pretty chilly. But, you know, the buds are on the trees, and you could just see it happening. And somehow or other, the cold temperature, it was 41, and it was really windy. And the dog's ears were flying around, and he was snipping and snorting. And somehow the contrast of the buds and the chilly temperature and the wind made it all the more spectacular. And it just makes you just wonder, like, you know, we were just given these wonderful gifts, this wonderful gift of where we live, this beautiful place that we live, and our teaching and our friendships and our relationships. And there's so much to be grateful for. So I had to sing this song. E. Cummings. Forgive me. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping green spirits of trees, and the blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is infinite, which is natural, which is yes. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping green spirits of trees, and the blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping green spirits of trees, and the blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is infinite, which is natural, which is yes, which is yes, which is yes.
Yes.
Now we have our practitioner extraordinaire, Jon Heron.
Which is yes.
Yes.
However,
Perfect.
like-
Oh, yes, I
okay.
can see the beauty behind me. Good morning, I'm Jon Heron. I'm a practitioner here at CSL Princeton. Gratitude. Isn't it wonderful? Something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Some of you know I'm a theater person. I'm in the midst of directing a show right now, right? And so there are some things that are very much in my face. And one of the things that's in my face is age. Whenever I forget something, I go, oh, I'm getting old. If I feel a little tired, because some of these rehearsals are exhausting, but you know, what we teach is very clear that what we believe and what we think is what shows up in our lives. And so when we buy into the cultural thought, the human race belief about age, when I buy into it, I create more of it. And one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is what Reverend Rich and Reverend Karen were talking about. It's not as if, there is an infinite invitation which has been issued to all of us and is always being issued. And all we're asked to do, well, we're not asked to do anything. Our opportunity is to send the RSVP and accept the invitation. And it's an invitation to loving, and it's an invitation to joy, and it's an invitation to know that the truth of us is beyond age and beyond all of those things that we very much believe in as human beings. In looking for a practice to help me to go beyond, to accept the invitation to joy rather than the invitation to, oh, I'm getting old, I found this. This is one of Ernest Holmes' meditations from the Science of Mind. I changed some of the words. I took the liberty because I was doing it for myself, right? And I thought, this is a nice meditation for us to do together. For those of us who are here at the Masonic, you have a copy. You are welcome to read along with it. Do it as a meditation. And my suggestion is, and for those of you at home, just receive it as a meditation. And my suggestion is, there's an invitation in here, right? To each one of us, there is something that's in here that is a deeper truth, a deeper doorway to joy, to love, to light, and all that kind of stuff. So as we repeat it, look for that. It's waiting for you to say yes, as Reverend Rich sang in that wonderful song. So, today, I completely accept my wholeness. Repeat it with me if you want to. I'll say it again. Today, I completely accept my wholeness. I am a child of infinite blessing. I am born of eternal day. There is no evening of the soul, for it shall live forever. It is deathless and perfect, complete and one with the everlasting. No thought of tomorrow can disturb my calm, now that I know that life is one eternal day. No fear can enter where love reigns, and reason keeps faith with hope. The thoughts of the tomorrows and the yesterdays are swallowed up in the great realization of the perfect here and the complete now. Today, I completely accept my wholeness. And so from that consciousness, I'll do a spiritual mind treatment. Knowing that this universe is nothing other than perfect life, perfect joy, perfect love, always present, always fully present. And since it is infinite, it is in each one that is participating in this event. And so this word is for each one who is participating. In that one truth, I know that all are participating in that one truth, and that one truth is love, the infinite expansion and giving of the all good of infinite blessing. And that infinite blessing is present in every word, in every atom, in every cell, in every body, in every thought. And so it is present in, as and through each one participating. Right here, right now. And since that's so, I know that the truth is that each one is experiencing greater and greater love and greater joy. And this invitation is fully present, and I know that each one is answering this invitation and opening their hearts and minds to this truth of the presence of joy, the presence of love, the presence of life, of power, of peace. And so this is the truth that each one is now experiencing greater peace and greater joy and greater love. And each one's consciousness is filled with this truth of perfect joy and love of the infinite day that we all participate in and are participating in now. And so I know each one is experiencing that in the perfect way. That is what is present here in this room. That is what is present for each one who is participating in any way in this service. I know the world is filled with this truth, this infinite invitation being accepted. And since this is so, I am so grateful for this truth. I release this to the law. It is done. It is present right here, right now, and so it is.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. When all fear and worry fall away from me, I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love will set us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when I fear I've lost my way, then I go inside and quiet my mind. Can hear spirit gently sing. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love will set us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love will set us free. There is only love. Introducing the Reverend Dr. Karen Kushner, coming to bring us words. The words.
The words.
Word up.
Now let's talk about the word. The word. Right? What is that? Okay, you know what I'm talking about. All right, good. So hello, Robert, and let's see. I think I got everybody else. Okay, great. All right, so here's the thing, people. We grow or we die. It's your choice. When I did the opening treatment, I like to say I am moving from good to greater good. And we all like that. It's an affirmation that I think I created for myself thoughtfully thinking, okay, I want to create an affirmation that's talking about what my experiencing of life is about. So at the time I came up with it, I thought my world was pretty awful, but I didn't want to say I'm moving from awful to better. So I said, okay, we're told to claim now that my life is good, but I want it to be better. So I came up with, I am moving from good to greater good. It describes the movement of our life, the progress of our life. We know we're moving through life, we're changing, and so I wanted to describe the way these changes were happening for me, always getting better. Now, the bad news is that's growth. So I know many of us would like to move effortlessly and without changing a darn thing, move from good to greater good, like that floating on the river. Just float down the river. I'm not doing anything. I'm not having to learn anything. I'm not having to change myself. I'm just moving from good to greater good. But it does demand that we grow. And what are we growing in? We are growing in awareness of our goodness. We are growing in our realization and our acceptance of our goodness. And yes, that means that we are also growing in our expression of that goodness. So our personality has to change. Our habits have to change. Our desires unfold and morph into different forms. So our preferences have to change. Our likes and our dislikes have to change. When I say our personalities have to change, if you were born under a certain sign, get another sign. You gotta move out of your comfort zone when you grow. And so that's the thing about growth, right? Growth means we move from where we are comfortable, to the edge of where we are comfortable and beyond. And what we experience when we're on that edge of where we are comfortable is all our fears. And so what we like to do, if you're like me, when you start feeling those fears, let me get back into the center of my comfort zone. I'm not ready. I need to get myself more ready. Like I went to the edge, and I know that I needed to step off the ledge, and that I would either fly or there would be hands to lift me up. But I'm not 100% sure, and so let me just get away from the edge for a little while I get clearer about it. But no matter how many times we do that, don't beat yourself up. It's not procrastination. You're not ready. We're not meant to suffer. We're meant to be supported, but why not be comfortably supported, as in, I'm ready to face my fears because I have something I can stand upon. Something I can stand upon that I can cling to when I step off the ledge. And so my interpretation of Palm Sunday, and I did all this research looking in metaphysical interpretations of it, and I couldn't find my interpretation anywhere, so take it for what it's worth. My interpretation is this: that individual we call Jesus, just like us, was growing, and he knew what he had to face. And my reading of his story is he was invited and asked and prompted by his fans to come to Jerusalem for quite a while, and he was avoiding it. But then when he was ready, he entered. That's Palm Sunday. He entered into Jerusalem, and he entered big point in the telling of this story was that he told two of his followers to go find a donkey. And specifically, to go off and find this donkey and don't pay for it. And when the farmer, the owner of the donkey, asks what you are doing, to tell that farmer the Lord needs it. And that the farmer will just give him the donkey. Now, this is an important part of the story. The donkey represents sure-footedness, right? They're not the, most graceful of creatures, but if you're on one, you know where you're at. You're grounded and you're plodding along, and there's a bit of stubbornness to them so that once they get going, they're going to keep going. And so he entered into his big fear, the outskirts of what he was comfortable with, because he had all the fans following him all over the place. But in Jerusalem, you had the Romans, and he knew they were out to get him, and the Pharisees and all the whatever. I mean, he had to face his fears. And he had to make that decision to enter, and he could only do it when he was sure of his groundedness. And so my personal experience of this story is there have been quite a few times in my life when I have had to face the big fears. Yeah, see, it's already the noise of the fears, right? It's coming up. It's okay. It's all right, whatever. Okay, so we're growing. But miracles, miraculous transformations in our lives, because we know the end of the story here, right? Only get produced when we are really changing far beyond our old consciousness. And the only way to experience that is to really face what our biggest fears are. It's the only way. So the good news is you're not going to do it unless you're really got clear about what you're doing, and you may still be afraid. And so the story goes that Jesus said some questioning remarks about himself. Is like, and I'm going forth here to pretty much get killed. Am I sure I want to do this? And and then he clarifies himself. He's like, no, my hour has come. My hour has come. It's his decision. And so when we're ready for our miraculous change in consciousness and shift in our entire outer world, we realize it's an inner job. We realize we're facing our own inner false beliefs, but they scare us to death. But we know our time has come. And in my experience, whether I was an atheist at the time or in this teaching or just generally clueless at the time, in every one of those crisis moments, something in me, I know now it's that divine wisdom within me, but it felt like me, something in me became aware of a higher truth that I could cling to. And so I remember when I was divorcing. At that time, I was an atheist, so I didn't have any God to hang on to. And I had lots and lots of reasons to blame him because, he and I had set it up that he would be the bad guy and I would be the good one. But when it all really came to that point of ripping the two of us apart, it was highly emotional, and I behaved pretty darn bad, and enjoyed it. And everybody would agree with me, of course. But I remember at some point in the awfulness, I asked myself, what do I want the outcome to be? And I checked within my heart, and I was honest with myself, and I realized that no matter what it is that we are going through here and how it's going to look and all that's going to be said and done and blah, 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 and it was ugly, I knew in my heart we were friends. And so I stood on that as my guiding principle. I was sure-footed. That was my ass. Another word for donkey, right? That was my donkey. I sat, friendship is the outcome. Friendship is the result I want to end up with when it's all over. And so, yes, I operated at my level of personality and, oh my God, we had some big fights. But it always fell back down to friendship. And so when the lawyers got involved, it was friendship that was the guiding light. Friendship, friendship. When we divvied up all the stuff, it was friendship, friendship. It guided me through that whole horrible experience. Not very spiritual, right? But remember, I was an atheist. There is no God. Let's see how that works for you, Karen. And I remember when we were dividing up the money, I was thinking, let's just split it in half, whatever. But I was guided to say, I think this is what I was guided to say, who knows. But what would make you feel peaceful within yourself in the way we divide up this money? And he had a different suggestion, which surprised me, but it's what would make him feel peaceful within himself. And so I was like, okay, fine. And so we are friends to this day. He's remarried, he's got all these kids, he's having a great life, and here I am. Having a great life, but it wasn't the way we thought it would go. We really thought he would go off and be an opera singer in Europe, and I would remarry and have all these kids, and it's almost like things kind of switched, but that's okay. So when we are ready to face our deepest fears in order to grow and move forward, we know what we got to look at. We've got to have something to stand upon, and we will not go into those fears until we do. We have to have something. When I was being tortured in a particular job at work, I think I still was an atheist. I was close to coming into this particular teaching, but I have a suspicion I was still an atheist because I didn't have much to stand upon. Anyway, I was having particularly a horrible experience with some boss who most of the people who were around her assumed she was crazy. And she was out to fire me. And I knew I was a valuable employee. I knew my value. I knew my worth. But my life was determined by this person, as far as I knew and understood. I dealt with it for much longer than most people did. Suffered. And then there was a moment where I just could not suffer anymore. And again, I had no faith, but something in me said, enough. And so I went in, I resigned, and instead of accepting my resignation, they gave me a transfer to another place, another part of the bank. And I was there, I was happy, I was thriving for several months, and then something happened. My supervisor, my new supervisor, went on vacation, and I was in charge of opening his mail. And as I opened his mail, I found that the old crazy lady had submitted a whole proposal of how she could take over my job in her department. I found an entire proposal on my new boss's desk Friday night, all alone in this empty office, and everyone's gone, and there was a trash can right there. And I'm like filled with all this dread and horror of how she had tortured me before. All those feelings came back, and I was like, oh my God, she's still trying to get rid of me. And no one will ever know if I just... And I stood there. I was standing there at the desk in that moment of decision. And then, gosh darn it, that higher self within me said, and then, Karen, who are you going to have to live with? Myself. And the word integrity came into my mind. Darn. I'm like, well, again, no belief in the divine, no belief in God, but integrity. I put the proposal on the very top of all his mail in the very center of his desk, and I left. And I never heard another word about it. It just disappeared. And I never heard from them, that former boss, again. In more recent times, these higher ideas that I have hung on to have been more. It's a spiritual law that as I follow my heart, as I'm growing in my spiritual awareness of God and its presence, everything else must grow for the better too. That has been a spiritual truth that I have stood upon when faced with something horrific. There was one time when I was here as a part-time minister, and I knew everything in my whole world was telling me I had to quit my part-time job, and my full-time job in order to be here fully. I even had an accident with this giant tractor trailer thing that you only see in the middle of the night. Anyway, I try to take it on at the toll plaza, and because my car was the size of one of its wheels, it didn't notice that it had touched me. I'm like, please God, whatever. Okay, but that was when I realized, Karen, you got to move, you got to stop, your life has got to change. Okay, got it. But I was not able to move into Jerusalem, to take the step, until I was here on Sunday, and afterwards I was speaking with one of you who was afraid of moving forward, and out of my own mouth came the divine wisdom. If the only reason why you're not taking the step forward is fear, then you must move forward. And I thought, fill in the blank. Because I knew I was saying it to myself. I don't know what the other person did with it, but I went in on Monday and I said, I cannot work full time anymore. I have to make a change. And it all worked out. They offered me, I was so valuable an employee, and I had grown in such a consciousness of accepting that, right? That this time they said, whatever you want. Come in 1 day a week. I don't care. Just sit there. I think that boss knew I was treating for the company. So we need to realize that spiritual growth and growth on any level of our being, growth that really will make a difference, growth that really matters to us, growth that will really bring to us the fulfillment of what is in our heart, it will always, I'm saying always, we don't like that, it will always bring up fear in us that our way through requires us to face. And so we've got Palm Sunday. That's what it's about for me. That's what it's about. We know all kinds of things happened in some of the apostles' gospels, it's like that's most of the book is what happens after that entering of Jerusalem. There were more lessons, they had Passover, they had all kinds of things happening, and Jesus taught from the wisdom of being on the other side. And stuff happened, but what we have to remember is he got his goal, his result. He had before, this had to happen, right before, the very last thing he did, before he was ready to enter Jerusalem. The very last thing he did. Anybody know what it is?
Before he entered Jerusalem?
Right before he entered Jerusalem. The very last one of his miracles.
Oh, I was going to say he got on his donkey.
Yes, he got on his donkey. Before he even ordered the donkey. His last miracle. Yeah. He raised Lazarus, his buddy, from the dead.
Correct. But on his way to the path, didn't he stop on the path and also heal somebody?
Oh, yeah, he did. Once he got on the donkey, lots of stuff happened. But the last thing he did before he decided to order the donkey and go into Jerusalem was he healed Lazarus. He raised Lazarus from the dead. And what was he about to do for himself? He had to know, right? He had to know, all right, you raised a little girl, you healed this, you healed that, whatever. Now, Lazarus, now you can face whatever there is to face. And he does have that statement after this, he who loses his life will find his life. He was talking to himself. He was ready to face earthly death. But that's not the end of the story. He rose from it. That was his whole point. I think it was his life mission. Let's get eternal life figured out here. And I got to prove it to myself. And he did. He proved it to himself with his spiritual work. And then he had to prove it to himself with his very own self. Little aside, Mary Magdalene, I also believe, was his practitioner. So she sat outside his tomb, praying up the kazuga. So that, that's the other thing. When we go to face our fears and our biggest demonstration, always helpful to be in the two or more, to hold the hand of someone who is knowing the truth for you while you're entering into your biggest fear. Definitely. I highly recommend it. So, Emma Curtis Hopkins says about Palm Sunday, the Christian Scientist, she was a Christian Scientist, who is true to their affirmation that good is working with him and through him and by him and for him, does not see or hear anything but good, while the rest see evil. He will not let his idea of good get any mixture of evil. So she interprets Jesus as saying that he talks about the grain of corn, that we have to put it right down into the soil and it will grow. And in using that, Emma says, unless we put our living truth right down boldly into the hard, ugly experiences of everyday life, and let that truth defy and deny and push away the material seemings to show its omnipotence, we shall be forced to go out of this world without demonstrating what great power over environments we have. We must announce a principle of action and live it out. We must claim these spiritual truths and live it out. We must go through that which we fear and prove it to ourselves. I think it's the most that this particular palm entrance, the hosannas, many of the metaphysicians interpret all those people with the hosannas. Those are our surrounding thoughts, that they're supporting us and they're cheering us on. And yet at the same time, we had, the bad guys plotting his death. Those are our thoughts too, that it's all present as we're entering, but we're still able to enter with that conglomeration of positive, much, much, much positive praising of ourselves, as well as those doubts. But we're sure-footed. We're sure of the truth upon which we stand. It's something you cannot manufacture. In my experience, you can't manufacture it. But if you're about to face your biggest fear, and you check in with your heart and listen, you'll hear. You'll hear your nugget of truth that you're going to hold on to. And like I showed with myself, it could be whether you're an atheist or who knows what, it doesn't matter. At your level of understanding, there will be something higher that calls and speaks directly to you. Like, I don't know why friendship came into me when I'm in the middle of having this knockdown, drag-out divorce. But it was friendship. I mean, not very high quality of the divine, but it was at the level of my understanding. And he and I had come together in friendship. We always were great friends. We just, weren't so good at much more beyond that. But that thing, that truth, that higher idea that you can cling to is going to be yours at your level of understanding. So you don't, pish-tush it just because it's friendship, it's not very high, whatever, or integrity. Well, that was pretty good, but, to stand on the truth that if the only thing that's holding me back from taking a step forward is fear, then I must go forward. I mean, that's like, King Arthur kind of ideal to stand on. But, if you don't have the King Arthur ideal, then go with what you've got. If you believe in life, if you believe in goodness, if you believe in friendship, if you believe in love, if you believe that there's a power for good in the universe and that you can use it, if you believe that there is a way. So many people there's someone who did all this research on people who survived various disasters, all different kinds of disasters. And what was common to all the people that this person interviewed was every one of them, at some point of the disaster, had come into them the thought, I will survive. At their level of understanding, I will survive. I'll get through. There is a way. Not me. I don't agree with this. There will be a way. Every one of them did. And then, they've reported on exactly what had to happen for them to find the way, to see the way. Or one guy was in some sort of, I think it was an airplane over the ocean kind of thing, and had to survive hours and hours on freezing water, and was able to do it until the helicopters or whatever came and he was pulled out. He was the whole time going, I will survive, I will survive, I will survive, I will survive. As soon as they got him up into the elevator, as soon as he was elevated up into the helicopter, he knew they could take care of him now, and he passed out. Soon as he got his body taken care of, I survived, I don't have to think about that anymore. So, as we enter our to make a triumphant, because the talk, right, is making a triumphant entrance when facing our fears. Here's what we need to realize. We can still have our fears. We can still be filled with doubt and shaking in our boots. But we make a triumphant entrance because something in us is clinging to something that is sure in our heart. Something about us can rely upon it. It's personal, it's not for anyone else, it's ours, and it's enough. It's enough. And for me, I will admit, I hate getting on that donkey. I really don't want to. Because I'm really afraid. I don't know about you, but I mean, and I will negotiate for quite a while before I get on that donkey. Which, Jesus did a little bit. Do I really have to go there? Yes, I do. All right, fine. He moved on. But I am absolutely knowing, before I get on that donkey, that I've got all that I need to get me through it. I'll have a practitioner. Nowadays, as soon as I know, oh, here we go again, I get my practitioner at work. I go deeper in my own spiritual practice. I do something different, something more demanding spiritually of myself, right? Because do the same, you get the same. So amp it up. Not hoo, amp it up. No. Amp it up deep. More honest with myself. I might do forming, asking myself, what do I really think about this? Turning within and then just writing everything that comes out. Everything. Get it out, get it clear. Get all these spiritual supports in order. Then, also, check out the physical realm. What do I need to do? Sometimes there are things in the physical world for us to do to support us. At the level of understanding that we are at. So we accept it. Follow it. Say you have some sort of physical ailment and you need to deal with it. Yeah, you ramp up all the spiritual work, but hey, if you got to take a pill, you take the pill. Got to have surgery, you have the surgery. That's not the problem, and that's not the cure. It's also not going to stop you in moving into Jerusalem. Moving into Jerusalem is getting yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, environmentally, every other way set as best you can. And then you take that deep breath, grabbing on that spiritual hand of someone who can know the truth for me, and then I move forward and do what I'm guided to do. Keep breathing. Don't talk about it with anyone outside of my spiritual support. Because the last thing you need when you're facing your dragon is everybody else's opinions about dragons. Right? You don't need their sympathy either. Oh, you poor thing, you're facing a dragon. You don't need their hoo-ha, rah-rah. Wow, good for you, facing a dragon. You go get him. Like, you know what you want to say to that, right? So don't even go there. Keep sacred the integrity of your soul. This is your personal, private moment of truth. And you're ready. And you move forward. And then when it's all done, you get to talk about it to everybody. Right? And you become a life coach and go on tours. Been listening a lot to Tony Robbins this week. Who's got lots of great ideas to support you. But that's the way I move forward. So wherever you are in your growth process, I stand upon this truth. Every single one of you, there is a way through it, and there is something you can hang on to that will help you through it. And if you require any spiritual support, our practitioners are here to support you. So you could go to our website, cslprinceton.org. There's a little prayer request button. Fill it out. Someone will get assigned to your case. There you go. No charge for that. If you want more direct support, set up consultation with one of our practitioners, they'll charge a fee, and you pay the fee, you have that meeting, you have that consultation, you're supported. I do it, I offer that to you. Do it. Why not? I mean, it's scary out there, beyond your comfort zone, right? All right, so with that, relax, take a breath. Reverend Rich is going to sing to us something that will support us, and then I'll come back and do a spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer to support us, and we're here for you, right? Right. Okay.
This song keeps coming up, so. Don't worry, mother, it'll be alright. Don't worry, sister, say your prayers and sleep tight. It'll be fine, lover of mine. It'll be just fine. And lend your voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. Through your life of love and bravery, we shall lead a life uncommon. I've heard your anguish, I've heard your hearts cry out. We are tired, we are weary, but we aren't worn out. Set down your chain until only faith remains. Set down your chains and lend your voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend your strength to that which you wish to be free from. To your lives of love and bravery, we shall lead a life uncommon. There are plenty of people who pray for peace, but if praying were nothing would have come to be. Let your words enslave no one, and the heavens will hush themselves to hear. Lend your voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend yourself to that which you wish to be free from. Your love and love and bravery we shall lead a life uncommon. Come on, you unbelievers, move out of the way. There's a new army coming, and we are armed with faith. To live, we must give. To live, and lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from. Through lives of love and bravery we shall lead. And lend our voices only to sounds of freedom. No longer lend our strength to that which we wish to be free from. Through lives of love and bravery we shall lead a life uncommon. Lots of bravery there.
Yeah. All right. So, this word is being spoken for each one. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect, whole, and complete, eternal, infinite. There's nothing to be afraid of in this life. And this life is the life that each one is now living. It is a beautiful, glorious, wonderful life, and each one is happy to grow in awareness and acceptance of this great and glorious life. And so if there is anywhere any fear, each one knows in their hearts of hearts that there is nothing to fear. And so each one is able to move forward confidently, sure-footedly, forward, moving from good to greater good, from an awareness of the all good to a greater awareness, from an acceptance of the good to a greater acceptance of greater good. Each one is able to easily, peacefully, serenely, sure-footedly, with clarity, strength, and wisdom, moving forward, continuously experiencing more and more of this goodness of life in every possible way it could be expressed. I am grateful that this is the truth. I release this word to the law. It is done, and so it is. There we go. Take us away, Reverend Rich.
The guy at my feet. While I run this race, I think at my feet. While I run this race, I think at my feet. While I run this race, 'cause I don't want to run this race in vain. You know I'm a child. While I run this race, yes, that I'm a child. While I run this race, I'm a child. While I run this race, 'cause I don't want to run this race in vain. Think of the next verse.
Know the truth?
Yep. Know my truth. While I run this race, I said, know the truth. While I run this race, I said, know my truth. While I run this race, 'cause I don't want to run this race in vain. 'Cause I don't want to run this race in vain. 'Cause I don't want to run this race in vain.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for being there. Oh, Damaris. Oh, thank you so much. All right. So, and Deborah, too. Thank you very much. And you've got, those of you out there, I typed in John's spiritual prayer there, so you've got that, too. So, see you next week. Bye-bye.